So, why did the wealthy elite go to such extraordinary lengths to stop solidarity? The reason is simple. Solidarity is a direct threat to their power. When the marginalized groups unite, they challenge the status quo, expose inequality, and disrupt the system that maintain the elite's control. Throughout history, we've seen that when people from different races, classes, and backgrounds come together, they become an unstoppable force that can dismantle the structures of oppression. Let's take a closer look at the key moments in history where solidarity across the racial and class lines threatened the elite's hold on power and why they worked tirelessly to suppress it. In the early 1800s, black and white abolitionists risked everything to undermine the institution of slavery. The Underground Railroad was a network of safe houses and escape routes that helped thousands of enslaved people escape to freedom. This network was not only in defiance of the law, but it was also a direct challenge to the economic system built on the backs of enslaved labor. White abolitionists from Harriet Tubman to Levi Coffin worked alongside black freedom fighters, creating an interracial movement that crossed boundaries of race and class. The elite feared this kind of solidarity could spread, that the collaboration between black and white abolitionists might spark wider resistance to slavery and expose the moral bankruptcy of the entire system. As a result, they responded with violence, heightened surveillance, and even more repressive laws, like the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. This act was designed to stop the Underground Railroad and punish anyone who aided the enslaved. It was a clear attempt to sever the growing unity between oppressed groups and prevent the expansion of solidarity. But the abolitionist movement, despite these efforts, played a critical role in the shifting public opinion and laying the foundation for the Civil War, which ultimately ended slavery. Fast forward to the 1950s and the 1960s, when the fight for civil rights wasn't just led by black Americans, but was also bolstered by a diverse coalition of white allies, activists, and intellectuals who understood that the fight for black equality was a fight for justice for all. The civil rights movement became an embodiment of what solidarity could achieve: the demand for desegregation, voting rights, and equality under the law. The March on Washington in 1963, where over 250,000 people of all races gathered to demand justice, was a powerful show of unity that shook the establishment. Black Americans, white allies, labor unions, religious leaders, and students stood side by side, defying racial boundaries, to demand that the nation live up to its ideals of freedom and equality. The elite saw this growing coalition as an existential threat to their power, and they responded with violence, state surveillance, and repression. But the power of unity was undeniable. The civil rights movement forced legislative change, resulting in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which aimed to eliminate racial discrimination in voting. These monument pieces of legislation changed the American landscape forever. They were a testament to the power of solidarity, showing that when people unite across racial and class lines, they can win victories that change the course of history. However, the elite's response was not simply to resist the civil rights movement. They also sought to divide and fragment the coalitions that were so threatening. They co-opted some of the movement's demands while also pushing to weaken or dismantle the harder-fought elements. Despite the political victories, the underlying forces of white supremacy, economic inequality, and racial discrimination persisted. In the late 1960s, Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party took the principles of solidarity to a new level with the creation of the Rainbow Coalition. Unlike other civil rights organizations, the Rainbow Coalition went beyond racial lines to build a broad, cross-racial alliance that included blacks, white, Latino, and Native American communities. Hampton's vision was clear: unite the oppressed to fight the common enemy, the economic system that perpetuated poverty, police brutality, and social injustice. The Rainbow Coalition's focus wasn't just on racial equality, it was a class-based struggle that addressed the shared experiences of economic exploitation across racial lines. The coalition united poor and working-class communities of all races in their fight for economic justice, police accountability, and social equality. Hampton's platform, which included free breakfast programs and health care services, wasn't just about racial justice. It was about creating a new kind of society that served the needs of the people, not the elite. The potential of this coalition was enormous. Hampton and the Black Panther Party's work in building solidarity between oppressed groups was a direct challenge to the power structures that the elite had spent centuries building. The government and the elite saw the Rainbow Coalition as a direct threat, not just to the racial order, but to the entire capitalist system. In 1970, just 1 year after the coalition was formed, Fred Hampton was assassinated by the FBI in a targeted raid. The FBI's COINTELPRO program, which sought to disrupt and dismantle civil rights and racial organizations, played a pivotal role in the dismantling of the coalition. Hampton's assassination wasn't just an attack on one man, it was an attack on an idea that unity could be the weapon to overthrow oppression.